Julie, thanks so much. Coach, obviously tough coming in here after a loss, but I think there was a lot of good things to be taken from this young man right here and these 5 guys up front. And it's really 7 guys, because you got tight ends and everybody doing their job. And I just think you guys have a really nice identity established off of this duo play. Back's going to attack the A-gap. You're going to bring Cole Turner back across. Bates is going to follow him. And what I love about this, Coach, is that they are in some type of run stunt here, right? They're kind of bringing these guys across. They're trying to stop your duo. But you guys run this run so much, you can get it blocked up, and I love the physicality here of Bates on the defensive end, like sticking his face on somebody. Cole Turner, a guy who's not supposed to be able to block, getting after the linebacker, and then Brian Robinson reading this out with his feet.
Yes, very much so. And again, a big part of what you said is, again, looking at the angles that are being created because of the type of blocking scheme that we're using.
Yeah.
Secondly, the placement of the bodies in terms of where these guys need to be. You look at how we handle it, how we block it up, it gives us an opportunity to hit a seam.
Hit a seam, right? And you mentioned the angles, Coach, like getting this guy on a double team here, right? Giving Lucas a nice, good angle to linebacker. It allows you to give these guys, put these guys in the best position to be successful. So it's awesome to see this run being executed at such a high level, because you do so much play pass off of this as well.
Yes, we do, and that's a big part of it. Again, if we're running successfully, our play pass becomes even more relevant.
And then the other thing I love is Scott deserves a lot of credit here for this play design. You line Curtis up here in the backfield, little sneaky kind of deal here. And what I love is that he's going to release on a pass route here, out into a route. And what it does, Coach, is it holds, as you know, it holds this linebacker here, and it makes these blocks easier for the tight ends coming back. Because on counter, Coach, as you know, this guy's going to come, he's going to kick out the end, and then Logan Thomas is going to lean up on this guy. And that little release by Curtis Samuel just makes everything so much easier for him.
Very much so. And again, part of it is that we've got to do things like this because we do use Curtis in the backfield.
Yeah.
So if we don't use him where we have to have him as pretty much just a decoy, they'll always know that he's getting the ball. So these are some of the things that we have to counter, some of the things that we do with Curtis.
And it's very effective because he is an explosive player. And I just want to point out this wonderful block here by Norwell. I mean, he's a big, strong man getting after Kayvon Thibodeau, kind of saying, get out of the hole here. Logan Thomas on the second level. And then, Coach, like, you can't coach this right here, this heart, this want to. And it's just cool to see everybody getting after this, moving this pile. B-Rob gets a lot of credit, but I see Lucas in there. I see Turner. I see Leno. I see Logan pushing that pile.
Absolutely. That's what you want to see. You want to see 10 of our 11 guys all coming to the pile up and working to gain more yards. That's a big part of why we've had success so far running it.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And then this is another one. I really like this because it kind of plays off your similar duo action, right? You're going to bring this guy back across, but instead of hitting it to the front side A gap, you're hitting it to the back side A. You're hitting it to the front side A, and the cross shift action, the tight end coming back across, does an excellent job of holding this linebacker Landon Collins here and allowing Wes Schweitzer to work up and get this block and making it like an easy run for B-Rob, and it's always scary when you see a big man get into some space here for these secondary guys.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that, again, all this action designed to do exactly what it does, and that's to freeze, give them a little doubt, just enough for our offensive linemen to get in position to seal off the running line.
Yeah, and I just, Wes hasn't played a ton of center. He played a ton of center this offseason, but he's been hurt, and I just love the physicality here on the nose, getting some good nasty work and getting some good vertical movement, reestablishing that line of scrimmage. You got to love to see that.
Yes, very much so, very much so.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Coach, this is one of my sneaky favorite plays of the game. This is, again, the same run we had before. It's a tight zone run. Back's going here. I forget which way he's going. Maybe this way. We'll see. Who cares about the run? Because all I care about, Coach, is this right here. And when you see a receiver kind of come across the formation like this and say, what's up to this corner? And, I mean, Coach, that is exploding through the hips. That's rolling the hips. That's putting your face on somebody. It's nice to see this kind of effort from a guy like this.
Absolutely. But, that's one thing people don't understand about who Curtis is. Curtis is a very physical player, a guy that really likes to play the game. So when he gets an opportunity to block, he cherishes it, especially against a corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I played for a long time, Coach, and this used to get me fired up more than like the touchdowns by the receivers. We come in the film, we see a receiver do that. I know that he loves the game, like you were saying, and it gets me fired up.
And you know what? A bunch of old coaches I've had that says, you want to see a good running team? Watch their wide receivers block. Absolutely.
And you guys got receivers that are willing to do the dirty work. Diami, Curtis, Terry, and even Jahan starting to do that stuff too. So awesome, Coach. I know it wasn't the result you wanted, but it's good to see this stuff, especially in a loss.
Well, it's beginning to come.
Yep. Coach, obviously San Francisco 49ers up this week on a short week, and this team is good. They got a really good defense, very fast defense, but I think there's some stuff, obviously, that you guys can take advantage of. Let's take a quick look at their defense. This is a keeper by Seattle, and I just, what jumps off the screen to me is just how fast they are and how they have 3 linebackers that they can kind of leave on the field at all times to cover and to run, and I think that's one of the reasons they're good against the run.
Right. Well, they are. I mean, the big thing to me as far as this play is concerned, when you look at it, there's a little bit of discipline that they play with as well. Bosa, for instance, doesn't go flat down the line chasing anything, allowing the bootleg to get out. He's able to get vertical, and he stops the play for the most part. And then with their team speed as far as their pass rushers, they're able to get to the quarterback quickly.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that Bosa is being disciplinary, because when I see this, I'm kind of like he's out of his gap. Like if the ball were to cut back there, like he's technically out of his gap because he's playing vertical, right? Do you think he's focused on rushing the passer? Or?
Oh yeah, absolutely, more so than anything else. I mean, and that's probably the biggest thing you see. I mean, he, for the most part, recognizes that he has to get vertical and get upfield, and he forces it that way. Yeah,
so these guys are running all over the field. They're very fast. I think they're a very, very talented group. However, when you watch the Kansas City game, the offense that probably had the most success against them, their run game, obviously there's some jet sweeps and things like that in there, but they're running power here, Coach.
Yes.
And I see this line of scrimmage move pretty definitively. Like if you rewind that, they are off the ball probably about 5 yards.
Well, the biggest thing, more so than anything else, is, and you've got to take a look at this and you've got to hold true to it. Fast linebackers, for the most part, aren't the biggest guys on the football field. So you've got to be willing to attack downhill. You've got to be willing to double up, scoop up, and get you to the next level with good angles and create gaps and creases for your running backs to run through. And that's exactly what you see right here. Again, as you said, they're just running power. Okay. They've got the wing folding inside. He's going to lead into it. He's going to take the first color he sees as far as the linebacker is concerned. And now they're going to tell the safety to come up and make the tackle for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I see 65 and 77 here, and I'm like, that kind of looks like Sam Carsmy, Lucas, and Trey Turner. That's how you guys do that same double team. You guys will be able to get some movement there, I think, and get after some people.
I like to believe we can. Again, especially if you're starting to have the DBs tackle.
Yes, right. Especially, I mean, they have, a very small running back in Kansas City. You guys have a guy who's 230 pounds.
Yes.
So I think that matchup favors you pretty definitively.
I'd like to hope so.
So again, Brock Purdy's the quarterback, a guy that, Mr. Irrelevant, and his story's well talked about. But one of the things that's surprising to me is everyone's talking about, well, he's throwing the football, but I see them running the football probably more than ever when Jimmy Garoppolo was a quarterback, right? They're running it, they're playing keepers. How important is it to stop Christian McCaffrey, a guy that you're very familiar with? Well,
I think the big thing is you don't want to let him get going downhill. Okay, because he's got tremendous speed, good quickness, he's got good vision. Here he just bends back the zone for the most part, and he hits the crease downhill because that's the style of runner that he is.
Yeah, and so to me, like, they've been a little bit less efficient with the run game that they're like, but they are an athletic offensive line. And how important is it that you guys kind of play your gaps soundly here and don't let this hold by Trent Williams hurt you?
Well, and that's exactly it, because again, what should be happening on this is 93 should just be closing it down. And part of the problem right here in a situation like this is now you're counting on the back judge way back here to seeing what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I like you pointed out, like, one of the things that Christian McCaffrey does exceptionally well, I think, is play with vision, and I think that's what separates him as a player. But the thing I think that's probably most kind of interesting about this offense is Brock Purdy's been struggling a little bit, right? Not struggling, but he's not a dynamic passer. They do a great job of scheming open big plays, right? So how is it that you are ready for plays like this? They're faking the screen. They got the receiver blocking down. It looks like screen to me. He's looking away, and then he finds a Kittle for a huge play here.
Well, again, that goes in part to the way it's schemed, but the truth of the matter is it's also based off of the reaction of the defense. Right here in this instance, when you watch the way the two inside linebackers play this, okay, they see this. They see the safety go out. Safety's up over the top of the fullback. All right. The Mike linebacker, he's up over the top of Christian. So what that says is that the Will linebacker, the backside linebacker, should be pushing up over the top on top of
57 here.
Yep, he should be pushing up on the top of Kittle. The reason being why is because he's got what we call fire pass, full flow, four guys coming to one side, and he's got to pick up the tight end going vertical unless he and the safety, or excuse me, he in the corner have a switch on this guy hooking up, which I would doubt that they would want a linebacker covering the wide receiver who's hooking in the middle.
Right. Well, that's so interesting, Coach, because again, like, that's one of those little things, right? Four receivers to a side, and how that kind of messes with your rules a little bit, especially with the linebacker spot. So good scheme there. And so how do you prep for stuff like this? Because they seem to have a new one kind of each week.
Well, I think the biggest thing more than anything else is in these types of instances, you have to play your responsibilities. Again, if you're assigned, you got the tight end based off of fire pass, full fire, or full flood, whatever you want to call it. He goes and he's got that man. He's got to stay with him.
And the other thing you mentioned there, Coach, is they've got a really dynamic tight end. They've got a really dynamic back, kind of guys that challenge your linebackers, your safeties. how tough of a matchup is that for you guys?
I think it's a very tough matchup. Anytime you've got guys that are athletic that can run, it's always a challenge. And whether you got to match up with the safety, you got to match up with the linebacker or corners for that matter, you just got to play your rules, play your techniques, understand where your leverage is. The other thing that helps us play too is just realize it. They're only rushing 3.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, I mean but you think that would be helpful in coverage, right? But it kind of maybe messes up their responsibilities a little bit.
It does. It does.
Because it's something they don't do all the time. Coach, I always appreciate these conversations. Learn so much every time we talk, and good luck against San Francisco.
All right.